its servers are straining somewhat. All right, well, it's certainly an incredible honor to have Governor DeSantis make this stark announcement. All right, I'd like to welcome Governor DeSantis for this stark.
We're just trying to get it going because there's so many people.
Hello again, YouTube family. Thanks for those of you who tune into this episode on my YouTube channel. Please, if you are watching the video, drop a like and hit the subscribe button if you've not already subscribed to the channel. And I am trying to put more videos out. I've been working a lot. That's the reason for the sporadic uploads of videos. But there's a lot going on. Plenty of stuff to talk about. I've saved numerous news articles that I've meant to do videos and discuss and never got around to it. But this video is, as you can tell, about the presidential campaign launch of Ron DeSantis, as he recently announced that he's going to be running for the Republican nomination for president in 2024. For some odd reason, DeSantis decided to do his campaign launch on Twitter, and they were using something called Twitter Spaces. It's an audio-only platform. From what I understand, it was built off of Periscope, which was a app that Twitter purchased prior to Elon Musk buying the platform. But DeSantis made the decision to officially launch his presidential campaign on Elon Musk's current Twitter platform. And I'm sure everybody knows that Elon Musk, quite a while ago, way overspent, purchased Twitter for around $44 billion, which was around at least 3 times what the company was worth. The previous owners had to sell because of statutory requirements. They are required to follow their fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders. And when someone's willing to pay way more than your company's worth, you really have to sell it, because it only makes financial sense for the shareholders in the company and the payout they're going to get. So Elon Musk basically used some of his own money from the sale of Tesla stock plus money he borrowed to purchase Twitter, a move that was asinine. Elon Musk is a habitual self-promoter and makes grand claims that he can do things he cannot do. And he took the company private. He laid off fired, whatever you want to call it, about 2/3 of the employees. He's closed down Twitter locations where they had servers, and all kinds of problems have ensued, because when you lay off the people who are keeping the platform running, who are keeping the platform secure, then you shut down locations that house servers that run your platform. And some of the people he laid off were engineers. Some of them were programmers, people he needs to actually fix things at Twitter to keep Twitter running. But he basically turned Twitter into a massive dumpster fire. And Elon Musk, who himself is, by his actions, a extremely right-wing person, he did this stuff with Twitter, claiming to be a free speech absolutist. Meanwhile, in authoritarian countries like India, Elon Musk is literally preventing freedom of speech, as in Twitter is literally blocking speech negative to the authoritarians that run the country in places like Egypt and Turkey. But he calls himself a free speech absolutist. He bought Twitter. He way overpaid for it. He turned it into a massive dumpster fire because he fired the people who were keeping the thing running. And now DeSantis, I'm assuming because of Elon Musk's position among right-wing voters. Elon Musk has a massive amount of right-wing lunatic fanboys, stans, whatever you want to call them. People that are practically worshiping Elon Musk. And so he has this right-wing support base, I'm assuming because of his extreme wealth, and this support base he has among the right wing, who is, let's face it, who Ron DeSantis is courting when he's running for the Republican nomination for president. I'm assuming those things combined is why Ron DeSantis decided to do this campaign launch on Twitter Spaces. A former Twitter employee had discussed this whole thing with CNN and had explained how Twitter Spaces was only ever a beta test. It was never a fully fleshed out, functional program. They were building off of the Periscope platform that Twitter had purchased to try and create this Spaces platform. And as everyone saw in the failure to launch properly, well, competently, the presidential campaign, DeSantis discovered exactly how beta test this program was. So the Twitter Spaces goes live. It's co-hosted by Elon Musk and another right-wing guy who you can't really tell necessarily if they understand they're alive and people are hearing them talk, and they're talking about how the massive amount of people trying to get in and listen to this campaign launch are causing their servers to be overwhelmed. And I mean, prior to the initial crash of the launch, there were around 600,000 people in there. I mean, we're talking about Twitter, a program that has literally hundreds of millions of people that are members of the program. If you can't handle 600,000, there's issues going on. But Elon Musk has shown himself to be very incompetent in what he does. Now, he can have success as long as he has competent people working for him and making things run well. By the time DeSantis was able to speak, which was over 25 minutes in, the guy who's launching his presidential campaign in the Republican Party has not even been able to read his boring speech or do anything to officially launch his campaign. Over 25 minutes in, they were still glitchy as hell. By the time DeSantis was able to speak, there were around 40,000 people that were in the Twitter Spaces to listen to the campaign launch. So 600,000 people at one point early on dwindled down quickly to around 40,000 people when DeSantis was able to actually start speaking almost half an hour into it. The crowd did grow back to over 100,000 people, but it was a miserable show of incompetence on the part of Elon Musk and Twitter in how this rollout happened. This was supposed to be a campaign launch event for Ron DeSantis, but it was constantly becoming a praise-heaping project where the people who were on there were just constantly complimenting Elon Musk and Elon Musk's freedom of speech agenda. I mean, it's really, really insane. Musk recently appointed a new chief executive at Twitter. Her name is Linda Yaccarino, and he appointed her as the chief executive officer of Twitter once Elon Musk realized he was too incompetent to run the company himself, and most likely the case is, his not donors, but his investors told him he's too incompetent to run the company. And he was experiencing massive stock declines in Tesla while he was in the process of burning Twitter to the ground. So most likely the Linda Yaccarino hiring was investors pushing Musk to put somebody in charge of Twitter who's competent and to get himself back into Tesla to try and fix what was broken there, causing the stock to drop. When DeSantis did speak, it was his normal low energy, completely unappealing demeanor. I mean, DeSantis has zero charisma, zero appeal. He doesn't speak in any way that gets people excited to hear him speak. And he's going to be running in the Republican Party primary against Donald Trump, someone who I do not like, but does have charisma. Someone who is able to get people excited about him. Donald Trump does a really good job of being an insult comedian, as he's constantly insulting people and getting the right-wing base fired up because of the way he insults people constantly. In response to compliments paid to Musk about his freedom of speech at Twitter and the moves he made, Elon Musk, when he took over Twitter, he reinstated Trump, he reinstated a lot of white supremacists and various right-wing detestable people who had been banned from Twitter for violating their terms of service, for violating hate speech, for violating attacks, verbal attacks on other people. So Elon Musk took it over, put all these right-wing people back on the platform who had been banned, and that is what people celebrate with the freedom of speech from Musk. But when Musk was paid all these compliments by people during this launch event, he made an interesting quote. And his two quotes were, "We're absolutely committed to freedom of speech and a level playing field and vigorous debate. Hopefully, this can be a platform that brings together people of divergent political views to exchange those views." It's interesting that Musk decided to make that comment, considering they were in the process of a Republican political campaign launch for Ron DeSantis, someone I detest. But that aside, there are people that I'm sure like DeSantis, at least for right-wing views, for their perspectives. They like DeSantis. But he says that they're absolutely committed to freedom of speech. Like I said, in other countries like India, like Turkey, Elon Musk is absolutely taking requests from authoritarian leaders in those countries to ban certain people, certain speech from Twitter in those countries, and that is speech that is oppositional to those authoritarian leaders, like Modi in India. And Elon Musk is absolutely participating in the squashing of free speech in those countries. But he claims to be a absolutely committed person to freedom of speech. That's not true. And then he says that hopefully this can be a platform that brings together people of divergent political views to exchange those views. And he's saying this at a political launch for a Republican where the entire thing is filled with Republicans. You have Elon Musk, who is very right-wing. The other host, who is very right-wing. And the people involved in this included Thomas Massey, a Republican representative from Kentucky, Christopher Rufo, who is a critical race theory obsessive, and also a Manhattan Institute fellow, and also Dana Loesch. For those of you that don't remember her, she was at one point the spokesperson for the NRA. And so during the event you had, actually after the event, you had this tweet from Linda Yaccarino, who is now the chief executive officer at Twitter. And she's saying, tonight's reflection, we just heard a rare and unscripted conversation on a range of important topics with a presidential candidate, all launched on Twitter. That's historical. Let's do more. Freedom of speech is priceless. And so she's the CEO of Twitter now. So it's her job to put out propaganda favorable for Twitter. What they had was a big wad of mess for nearly half an hour before they could ever get to the campaign launch of DeSantis. He had a very unenthusiastic speech that he read that was prepared, that he just literally, he's not on camera. This may be one of the reasons why he did this, was because it's audio only. So he was able to just sit there and read his speech, and it came off like somebody who was reading a prepared speech. Completely uninteresting. And another reason why I say that he may have done this because of the audio-only platform is things like this. This is an example of Ron DeSantis laughing. And it came out about a week ago that there are wealthy donors to DeSantis' campaign that told him he needs to fix his face. Literally, they told him he needs to fix his face because he laughs like a maniacal madman. And not just that, he is full of confusing faces. This is another one. And you have these donors who are putting money into his campaign and saying, we don't want to fund your campaign unless you do something about this face of yours, where you're making these weird expressions and they become memes all over the internet. This expression, I can only assume, is Ron DeSantis learning that the cafeteria at the governor's mansion is out of pudding. But he has those issues, the fix your face problems. So he launched his campaign on Twitter. It turned into a massive Elon Musk love fest for the right-wingers who were there. But let's play a little bit of the audio from the actual event. This is that.
Now it's quiet. All right. Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, everyone, depending on wherever in the world you're joining us from. I'm broadcasting live from Twitter headquarters. It's David Sachs here. Elon is sitting next to me, and we want to welcome you to this historic Twitter Spaces event, and more broadly, a first in the history of social media. All right, sorry about that. We've got so many people here that I think we are kind of melting the servers, which is a good sign. might have surprised many, but not those of us who've known and worked with Elon for nearly a quarter century.
His commitment to
His commitment to freedom and
his
his willingness to put his money where his mouth is,
upset the narrative
control imposed on us by our government, elite institutions, and corporate media. Go ahead and send a heart up if you want to say thank you, Elon.
Let's see. So, we on? Yeah, I think so.
Just to simplify this, I think we're just going to use your.
So they just keep crashing, huh?
Yeah, I think we've got just a massive number of people online, so it's servers are straining somewhat. All right. Well, it's certainly an incredible honor to have Governor Desantis make this stark announcement. All right. I'd like to welcome Governor Desantis for this stark.
We're just trying to get it going because there's so many people.
It's unfortunate. I'd like to never seen this before. Governor Desantis for this stark.
We're just trying.
And so that was a sample of the audio and the glitches, the issues. You can hear the people, David Sachs, Elon Musk, and Linda Yaccarino in the background discussing the issues, trying to fix the issues. Ron DeSantis trying to start his campaign, and everything being interrupted. At one point, it completely dropped. They had to restart it all, and it was, like I said, nearly half an hour. People were trying to log into there to watch the launch speech, and it went from 600,000 to, by the time DeSantis was speaking, around a half hour in, 40,000 people there. And you could hear they're discussing. It sounds like they don't even realize they're live, or maybe they do know they're live and are just still trying to get the work in progress operational while they're live and realize it. I don't know. But that was the launch, the mess at Twitter, all of that. As for my perspective, which you may want, may not want, but I'm obviously someone on the left. I don't know where I'm at exactly politically. I typically vote for Democrats over Republicans because Republicans are abhorrent and are getting worse. I mean, for someone like me, they are doing nothing to reach out and make me want to vote for them. As far as DeSantis, I think he should not even be qualified to be president. He should not be able to run. For the simple fact of, and he's done a lot of political performative BS as governor. Almost everything he's done as governor has not been done to better the state of Florida, to help the people who live in the state of Florida. It's all political performance to try and get approval from the most vile of the Republican voting base. The MAGA, Trumpist, MAGA Republicans, whatever you want to call them. People who are absolutely vile. And the things they like are extremely hateful, bigoted, and ignorant. But one of the things that DeSantis did was, in the wintertime, he took a group of migrants who had come here seeking asylum. People who were literally poor, helpless, the weakest, least politically advantaged among us. People who had just come to the country from Central and South America. Men, women, and children coming here seeking asylum. They were being placed at a facility in Florida. Some of them were placed in a facility in Texas. And DeSantis put them on a plane, flew them to Martha's Vineyard to own the libs for a political performance. He used human beings, men, women, and children, who were not equipped, prepared, or dressed for cold weather in the wintertime, to Martha's Vineyard, which is in the Northeast, near Massachusetts, where it's cold, for a political performance. He used human beings, human lives, as pawns in his attempt to win the affection of vile right-wing voters. For me, I would never vote for him. I wouldn't vote for him to be dog catcher, because in my view, he is an absolutely worthless human being. Once you are willing to do that with human lives, play these stupid games, and I get it. Both parties play games. Both parties do virtue signaling. Both parties do political performative stuff. But what Democrats aren't doing is playing with the lives of human beings that way. And you may try and claim, in counter to this, that they support abortion. So, no, they are playing with lives. It's very different. A speck of matter in a woman's womb compared to a living, breathing human being who's seeking help, who's coming to you for help, and you do that to them. Very big difference. Not at all the same. But because of that, for me, DeSantis is someone who should never be allowed to be president. Ron DeSantis is very weak. I don't think he has a chance, honestly. He's polling second. He's been polling second the whole time. I think there was a period, maybe last year, where he was slightly ahead of Trump in some polls. But he is solidly the number two. And you have Nikki Haley, the former governor of South Carolina. You have Tim Scott, the current senator, one of the two senators from South Carolina, both in the Republican primary. And most people probably don't know who they are. I mean, Nikki Haley was governor of South Carolina. Then she was in the Trump administration. And she's running a completely lackluster campaign. She's failed to get anywhere in her campaign so far. And this, so far, unless something significant happens, which I'm not saying it can't, I'm doubting it will, unless something significant happens that propels Nikki Haley or Tim Scott or some other Republican who gets into this primary. And you have a number of other Republicans who have been going around speaking at all the spots, talking to donors and doing all this stuff, looking like they're planning on running. People like Mike Pence. I mean, seriously, Mike Pence, the guy who had right-wing voters, Trump supporters, walking around the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." That guy has been seriously considering running for president for the Republican nomination in 2024. I don't see any way he has a shot. I would be surprised if he did jump in. I would be surprised if he got 1% of the vote. Now, I've said before, I don't know how large this lunatic MAGA portion of the Republican Party is. I don't know if it's 15% or if it's 65% of the Republican voting base at this point. What I do know is that registered Republicans who are polled seem to answer poll questions in a manner that says it's a rather large slice of the Republican Party voting base that is this delusional, conspiracy theory-laden, absolutely detached from reality group of people. But most likely this is going to be a race between Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. Donald Trump was the first person to announce that he was running in the 2024 primary. he got out ahead of it really early. And I don't like Trump, not one bit. I absolutely would hate it if he got a second term in office. But he did a politically smart thing. In this case, he got out ahead of everybody, announced he was running, and he has been constantly bashing Ron DeSantis nonstop. Ron DeSantis has been traveling around to different states, making speeches, traveling to foreign countries. He's the governor of Florida. That's not his job. You know, he's been doing all this stuff, and everybody's been watching that, knowing that it is in preparation to run for the Republican nomination for president in 2024, but he was scared to announce that he was running. I don't know what finally pushed him to make the announcement. I mean, he's had some wealthy donors back away from him. He has had others tell him he needs to fix his face. And I don't know if he got some signal within the Republican Party that they were going to have the news media, Republican news media, push him. They were going to have Republican politicians holding office push him to try and make him the nominee over Trump. Because, let's face it, most of the Republican Party, as far as elected officials, do not want Trump to be the nominee. A lot of the wealthy donors don't want Trump to be the nominee. They want somebody like DeSantis, who is a complete lapdog for corporations and will do everything they tell him to do. That's who he is. I mean, this literally is Ron DeSantis's official picture as governor. And I look at that face, and I think there is absolutely no sincerity whatsoever in that face. That is literally a slimy politician who wants power and is willing to do whatever he has to do to attain power. No ethics, no morals, no concern whatsoever for the state he's currently governor of, which, as we speak, he's working on changing the law in Florida, because right now the law is if you're the governor and you want to run for president, you have to resign as governor. Because running for president, running for a party's nomination for president, is a full-time job. And you can't serve as governor and neglect the state while trying to run for higher office. And Ron DeSantis right now is trying to change that law. He's working on changing it to where he can stay governor, run for president, and then if he doesn't get the Republican nomination for president, go back to being governor. That's what he's trying to get changed right now. He wants people in Florida to just accept that, well, I'm your governor, but for the next year and a half, around there, I'm not going to be your governor. I'm going to try to run for president to get a better job for me, and I'm going to completely ignore my duties as governor of the state, and you just have to accept it. That's what he's trying to get changed, because in reality, I don't think Ron DeSantis believes he can win the Republican nomination. I believe he understands that when Trump starts berating him and calling him names and embarrassing him in person on stage in a debate, that he will crumble, that he will show himself to be as weak as he actually is. And so DeSantis wants his governor job to fall back on, and it's quite possible he could completely destroy his political career by running against Trump in this primary, because Trump has so many people, Republican voters, who are absolutely bought into his cult. It's a cult of personality, and right now that personality is Trump for the Republican Party. And that's what you have to break in order to have any chance. Ron DeSantis, I don't believe, has the intestinal fortitude to do that. Prove me wrong. DeSantis is running. He's in the primary. He can, by all means, show up and prove me wrong. I don't see it happening. Most likely it will be Trump running for the Republican Party nomination again, unless something really significant happens and somebody who's running catapults forward, or somebody who's not even running yet somehow manages to capture the national spotlight. As we know, that's difficult to do with Trump because the news media companies love reporting on Trump. All the stupid things he says, all the stupid things he does, all the lies he tells, everything. They report on Trump nonstop. He gets a massive amount of media coverage that he doesn't even have to pay for. That's why it's going to be hard to beat Trump, period, in the Republican primary. It's going to be especially hard for somebody as weak and spineless as Ron DeSantis with this massive debacle of a launch. The thing that makes me laugh the most is that someone in the Trumposphere put together a meme mocking this debacle of a launch on Twitter Spaces. And the meme launched for the Trump camp was so much better than the campaign launch for Ron DeSantis. I mean, way, way better. This is a audio sample of the Trump meme.
George, can you just wait while we...
Hello? Can you hear me?
We can all hear you, George. Can you just hold on for a second?
Hilfa, I don't think they can hear me.
I can hear you fine, George. Just speak to the
I don't think George
microphone.
knows how to use Twitter.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Can I please make my big announcement now? Everyone just...
Hello?
Just shut up, George.
Can somebody just mute George?
Dick, could you try not to cough on the...
Yeah.
Okay, so how are we going to take out Trump, you guys?
Guys from the FBI, this is not a private call. This is a public Twitter space. Everyone can listen in.
Oh, God damn it.
Anyway, guys, we invited everyone to this this Twitter space so Governor Ron DeSantis could...
Everyone just shut the hell up so I can make my announcement, okay?
That was a audio sample of the meme launched to make fun of the DeSantis Twitter Spaces announcement. And you had George Soros, you had Satan, Hitler, all these goofball characters in there just doing a humorous mocking of the Twitter Spaces launch with Musk and DeSantis. And that was so much more funny, so much more effective than what DeSantis did. DeSantis was really launching his campaign for the Republican primary nomination, and it was completely mocked and done very well. They used AI for the voices in that, and they had this goofy combination of Soros and Hitler and Satan, all these goofball characters arguing in the meme, mocking the debacle that was the Twitter Spaces launch for DeSantis. That is one of the reasons why DeSantis will not win the Republican nomination, because he does this lame launch full of glitches, and then the Twitter world, or the Trump world, puts out this meme that completely roasts Musk and Twitter. That's hilarious. I don't like Trump, but that's hilarious. Whoever put that together, probably I don't like them. But that is hilarious. And it was so much more well done than what Musk and DeSantis did. And DeSantis has been knowing he's been going to be running for months. They had months to put this Twitter launch together. And they slapped this mess together, full of glitches. And it was an embarrassing debacle that the new CEO at Twitter called historical. And it's hilarious that DeSantis can fall so flat on his face and the Trump world will run right over top of him like they did in this. That's why I don't see him having a shot at winning the Republican nomination. So that's the video for today. Please, by all means, drop a like or a subscribe. Thanks for watching, and by all means, have a good day.